Hello, Ho.
Hey, Nate.
How are you?
Doing well.
Alright, you have a few questions for me.
Sure do.
Alright, let's hear it.
Okay, let's compare the dynamics from your leadership presentation group to your movie group.
Okay.
Now, how would you say your group doubling in size impacted your work?
It made it, for me personally, it made it more difficult. It's, when you have more people, you have to manage just a little bit more, obviously, and with less people, it's a little bit easier to govern what exactly they're going to do. And so, in the case, yeah, it was a little bit more challenging because of the amount of people, so to speak, yeah. So that had to change.
Would you say your leadership style was different?
Yes, it was definitely different. Like for the first group, it was kind of, I took the reins, right? Just grabbed Black by the horns. And yeah, but both groups, they kind of pushed me forward to being the leader. I guess they just knew it or whatever. And I'm just trying to lay it back, but they kind of forced me. They both went up and said, hey, what are we going to do? How do we do this? And then I gave them the keys to success. Bam. I was like, here's the tools. Bam. This is what I need.
So you're saying they forced you into being an autocratic leader?
I don't want to be compared to Hitler or anything, but kinda, yeah. Or Stalin, I guess. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
How would you say the flow of communication differed between your two groups? Was one more fluid than the other?
Yes, the flow of communication, the very first group, we used Facebook, and we made a group, therefore we had IM available to us, so it was easier to exchange information and so on and so forth, due to accessibility. In the second group, we had a problem with Steven, because he didn't have a Facebook or anything, and he only went with email, so we all chose to go with email. And that hindered us drastically. And to give examples, like there's a few people that I never knew if they got my emails or not. I just guessed. They told me they did, but they never replied by any means. And so, but as for the leader standpoint, like I gave them reinforcement that if they had any questions or anything like that, feel free to call me. I can put my phone number and all that jazz. There's a few people that utilize that. Hopefully they don't sell my number, but yeah, a few people utilize it. Yeah.
Okay, what are your thoughts about the development of conflict between the two groups?
Comparing, contrasting them, or
Yeah.
the first group, personality conflicts. Me personally, with both of them, I didn't let it known, but I kept it under my breath. That was Joel and Steven. It was kind of, yeah. So, but nothing overall happened. I mean, the biggest conflict that we had was me personally with Joel. I knew he didn't read the whole book, and I knew he was going to have to BS it. But even though he told me he did read it, and I was going to try to take his word for it, but obviously, I guess it did okay. But as for the second group, we had a few conflict moments. One was the communication, where I wasn't getting reply backs or anything like that. And then Shonda had the problem of viewing the movie, I guess, but like I told her that if you had any problems, give me a call and I'll tell you what to download or how to watch it. And then with old man Steven, that's such a call that. But with Steven Senior, his problem was, with the passing of his relative. I think it was father-in-law. Yes, that was kind of a complication because then I had to step up to fulfill his roles, and so during the presentation.
It did.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you were the leader for both of your groups.
Yes.
Would you say that you utilized any of the task guiding behaviors that are discussed in Chapter 7, such as requesting information from your group members as an autocratic leader?
Requesting information from my group members?
Such as input about key concepts or things
No,
like that.
I was autocratic. No, it was,
Naturally.
they didn't really ask, they didn't, like, I tried to keep it open table, but they really wanted to be told what to do rather than, let's figure this out. They just looked up to me and said, Nate's got a plan. Listen now. And don't question. So I think Steven was the only one that kind of requested information of why I did Old Man Stew, why I chose the explosion scene, and I explained to him that was
Yeah.
the very first mishap of the thing, and yeah, then he kind of got it.
Okay. Another concept of task guiding behaviors and the development of them is providing information and clarifying information. As a leader, did you do these things?
All the time. With both groups, we developed, like, they looked to me saying, hey, what's the game plan? And then I would provide them the information, exactly like the task and everything. And then I would kind of go into a little bit more detail of why. And so like in the first project of the book, let's talk about the key concepts and make them, how did it all piece together and work? How can we put that in real life scenarios and so on and so forth. And then kind of going with the second one was clarifying, the three different groups on how they should interact and how they interacted and how we should tell the audience of their interactions and the conflicts that happen between them. So yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, would you say that as a leader you helped develop any social guiding behaviors by encouraging your group and being supportive?
To the best of my ability, if they choose to listen to me. The very first group, we were all extremely supportive of each other. Like, oh yeah, we got this. Of course, you got happy-go-lucky Steven, cheering the group on.
Yeah.
And we kind of both did the same thing on top of that. But as in the other group, it was really, I didn't do it so much, it was more in Jackie's hands in that case. She was like, you got this, don't worry, blah, 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 we're going to do great. So she was the one that was kind of establishing and encouraging. And so, not I.
Okay, so would you say that Jackie was the one that was energizing the group in order to develop social guiding behaviors?
Very complex question. But yes, she was. She was trying to do her best at it, but as for me, I was like, we got this. I keep on saying that. We're gonna edit that part out. So, like, I don't know. I was just kind of being like Team Kick-Ass, I guess you can say. It was like, there's gonna be a bomb-ass presentation, bam, on that. But Jackie was the one. She was our mom. What can I say?
I understand completely. Okay, as the leader of both of your groups, would you say that you had to do anything differently in order to build a cohesive group?
Between them, like, changing my ways, or?
Yes, especially considering the fact that your second group doubled in size.
The first one, we had a history together, so social dimension, I guess you could say, of knowing each other. We already knew kind of our roles, especially with the projects that we did before, even with the A class and stuff like that. So we already knew, everything was established already, so overall it was very easy to pick up. As for the second group that I never personally worked with, I only knew three before this class, and that was a little bit challenging. And so for that one, for the cohesion, I could have probably done a little bit better, but I was still trying to figure these people out. Shonday with the biggest problem we had with cohesion was the distractor, Joel. I mean, that was our biggest problem. Is like when I'm trying to figure out the group, Joel's interrupting left and right, cracking jokes, talking about whatever, so on and so forth. And then that was kind of a hindrance for us. And then there's kind of some enablers of that. Joel's acting, and then old man Steven kind of just being old man Steven didn't trust anyone to do their stuff,
Yeah.
especially Joel. And so, but he trusted me, and so that's kind of, I guess I kind of felt in that sense, really looking at it now. But if we hung out more or did something, probably tried to do something outside of class, and try to develop more of a relationship, bonding, and so on and so forth, I think it probably worked a little bit better. But was it sticky cohesion? No, it was pretty loose, and so it was like, I don't know. Elmer's glue compared to super glue. Yes, we were Elmer's. You can rip that shit apart. So yeah.
So your movie group, you guys didn't watch the movie together all at the same time. You watched it individually, correct?
Yes, due to geographical reasons.
Okay. Do you think that that would have helped build a cohesive group if you guys watch it together?
Joel? No. He would have interrupted every 5 minutes. And then Jackie's emotions, but I mean, yeah, it would have been funny, but as for analyzing the movie like we should, I think us watching it alone, because I gave them the assignment, the task, and what I expected was them to watch it alone so they could focus purely on the questions they had to answer and report back to me with them. And so I could build a presentation based upon that. So yeah, as for watching it together, no, I think it would help. I think it was actually hindered. Product placement. All right.
So basically, not necessarily in your first group because you guys already had that established social dimension, but your second group, they didn't really have a trust for each other. It was mainly your followers trusting you.
I don't want to sound like a religious leader, but yes.
Well, you have a leader and you have a follower.
I know, but it just makes me sound like I'm starting a cult.
They're your sheep.
Oh,
You got sheep.
bunch of sheep. Thanks. So, you had Marcus, Shonda, and Jackie in your group, and I had to work with them as well. So, what was their behavior since they were part of your first group? Like, how did they act, so to speak?
Well, great people. Don't get me wrong. Great. Genuinely good people. But I would say Jackie, she was our leader. She was definitely the controller. She was the one that was like, hey, we have to make this PowerPoint, meet me in the lab, in the writing center at this time. And, we kind of looked up to her because she was more mature than us.
Yeah.
Shonda, she was definitely a blamer of sorts. Nothing was ever her fault. There was always a reason why something wasn't done on time. Usually had to do with external conditions. So it was Shonda versus the world. And then Marcus, he was our ghost. He wasn't there a lot. He wasn't involved in a lot of our task development within our group. He just wasn't around. He actually read the book a week later than he should have. So Shonda got our book for our leadership presentation the night before, and I guess she could probably blame that on why she read straight out of the book when we gave our presentation.
See, ironically enough, she is the night before gal. Like, in ours, like, I don't know, 5 days before it was like, dude, I know, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, 5 days before it was due, I give her on a flash drive an MP4. And I tell her exactly how to open it and everything. And I go like, you got any problems? Call me. I will solve them. And Sunday comes around, I'm sending out massive amounts of emails saying, are you getting your stuff done? Nothing. So I come to find out with Shantae was her computer couldn't play it. She tried it a couple different ways, I guess. And then she finally went to a video store, I'm guessing Family Video, whatever, and rented it and watched it. And yeah, so she was blaming everything else, and you kind of give her the tools to do things and correct it, but she's just like, nah, I'm good. Marcus was the ghost, definitely in ours. Like, yeah, you never seen him. He wasn't there. He didn't voices fitting too much or anything like that. And then Jackie was more of the pleaser, the motivator. She kept us going. She, acted very motherly and very supportive, which is probably good for me because I'm not a very supportive person. And so I'm kind of a scumbag at that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was very interesting, but I kind of, from watching your presentation and then watching my own fall to pieces, I kind of sense that, like, their rules didn't kind of change or anything. So.
I would have to agree. Still pretty similar. 4 months down the line.
Yeah. 2 months to make that.
No, 2 months.
Yeah.
I worked with Steven the second time, and I know you worked with him. So he was definitely the leader in our group. He was our supporter. He was our controller. He was a lot of things. And he did a great job, he really did. He was fantastic. But how did he act when you worked with him the first time?
The very first time was pretty. What was his behavior be? Like, Joel would have been a distractor, definitely. And then I guess I don't know how to place him. Like, he was motivating, he was encouraging. It's like, yeah, don't worry, we got this, blah blah blah. We got easy book, it's only 100 and something pages, blah blah blah. But overall, like he let me lead as much as I wanted, and I mean he did his job. But like in our group, I kind of gave him just he didn't really have to do too much research or anything. I gave him a really easy job. Reason being, I gave him the job was because I first read the book. Joel said he finally read the book, but he didn't. And then Steven on the very last day read the book. And so that's why I was like, alright, due to that, I'm going to give you the easiest part. And he didn't blame anything. I guess he kind of was just like, well, I just didn't get around to it until then. So, I don't know. He made me change for the better because of this class.
So it seems like Steven was definitely a little more organized, time efficient, a little bit more driven when he worked with me after doing the presentation with you and waiting to get his stuff done until the night before.
Yeah.
Well, at least somebody changed.
Yeah, so, yeah. Out of the 4 people.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. I don't know how to conclude this.
We're perfect.
Thank you.
So, Nate.
Hi, Hope.
Hey. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you say that you have changed your behavior or perception of working in groups?
No. I don't know. I would like to, really, to be honest, but I just, I can't. I mean, for me, I don't know. Like, if I was more of a participant and not being a leader within the groups, then maybe I would change in some form or fashion. But as for being the leader of it, I mean, in groups, in both of the groups I was in, I don't know, it's hard to trust other people. Like, maybe in the real world application of like your ass is on the line, this is your job, you can get fired and your kids are going to starve and you're going to lose your house and car. They might have more motivation, but in this it was just another class, another project.
Yeah.
They didn't, I guess, you know, they didn't see any real world calamity if they screwed up. As long as Nate's in the group, they're going to get a good grade. And so because of that, I didn't trust them 110%. And I took it upon myself to make sure everything got done. And I did a lot more than I probably should have. And so, I mean, was it absolutely enjoyable? Not really. I spent a lot of nights, you know, for the slideshow took me god awful amounts of time. And I really shouldn't have. Just because I knew they were going to slack, I had to do 110 to make up for it. So, I don't know. What about yours?
I wouldn't necessarily say that my behavior in groups has changed just for the fact that I didn't have any group behaviors to begin with. I had never really worked with groups before, so I think I kind of developed group behaviors this semester because I didn't have any to change. But I would say my perception has definitely changed. I was scared to work with other people, and maybe in my first group wasn't an enjoyable experience for me, but definitely during my movie presentation, it kind of taught me that working with other people wasn't all that bad, and sometimes it actually makes things easier on you.
Wait to get to the real world. Actually, wow, man, it sucks. Alright, so, I mean, yeah. Let's go to the next one. Has your approach to groups and group projects changed? If so, if not, why not? If so, how?
Okay, well, my approach to groups. My first group was really awkward for me. It was Jackie, Shonday, and Marcus. And I mean, I was already friends with Marcus, so that wasn't really an issue, but I didn't know Jackie and Shonday. Add in the fact that they're strangers, as well as they're women, and it made it a little tricky to voice my opinion or to try to disagree with them, because, I mean, not only was Jackie, like, more mature than me, so it kind of just felt naturally wrong to question the things that she tried to say to me. Women just, they scare each other, and we don't want to step on each other's toes, you know, like, we try to be nice to each other, and it's just an entirely different dimension than working with, like, all men, like I did in my second group, where I didn't give a damn about anything that I said to them. Like, I didn't care if I hurt their feelings or anything, because I knew, like, one, they were going to try to pull my hair, and two, they probably wouldn't call me names, and three, they probably weren't going to take it personally. So.
Evil person.
Evil. I would never do that. What about you, Nate?
What about me?
you?
I love talking about
what
myself.
About you, Nate?
Please.
Please do, as usual.
I think everybody's perception of me was, Nate, the military guy, you get shit done. And I don't know. And it probably didn't help you from your advice in the class, kidding me. For it to be like, oh snap, this guy gets shit done. But it kind of worked that way where they kind of knew I was military, and they're like, oh, he worked with a lot of people, he's about to be a sergeant. And because of that, I think everybody just knew that I was driven, I could get things done, and I like to get them done. So, I mean, I don't know, it's a very military approach that I had, was, you know, here's your orders, carry them out, I don't care. Because obviously, it's not that hard to watch a movie, or it's not that hard to read a book. You know, just kind of take a step back and look at it more academic, educated approach instead of just reading the words or just crying during a scene. So, yeah. Yeah. So, quote. Is there any aspect of group communication that sparked an interest in you that will now pay more attention to, I missed a word somewhere, to or choose to learn more about, question mark, explain, end quote.
I don't know what you just said.
Alright, let's try that again.
Sorry.
I'm just going to read it. How about
Any
that?
aspect of group communication that sparked an interest in me that I will now pay more attention to or choose to learn more about. Okay, definitely the one that sparked an interest in me, absolutely, was learning about the social dimension of groups. Because we didn't really have a social dimension to the first group that I worked in. I mean, we never hung out outside of class. Rarely did any of us really talk to each other. So things were really awkward because we didn't really know each other. I mean, like, we just talked to each other in class and that was it. And then in our second group, the movie, we watched the movie together down in the clubhouse, and like, we had snacks, which was awesome, and we joked around, and we really got to know each other kind of on a more personal level. So we were able to be more comfortable around each other and kind of more easily express our feelings and our concerns and our input during our project. So definitely social dimension turned out to be something that I didn't really think was that important in the beginning, but definitely by the end of class I realized that it is imperative to maintaining a cohesive group. What about you, Nate? What do you think?
Well, I got 2 minutes to explain. Alright, so, as for like the cohesion thing, it's gonna go off years. Nothing really worked out too well. I mean, we didn't cohese whatsoever. My biggest thing was the ownership, you know, like, make people feel more proud to be in the task, in the moment, trying to be more willing to help out. That's always been a big issue. And see, in the military, we all kind of get that sense of, oh, we got to build this radio tower, we got to save lives, we got to drop bombs on people. And so, in there, but not doing that, like for instance, this class, it was just trying to make a good grade. So, I mean, I think trying to provide people with more ownership, that means they put more investment. And if you put more investment into something, you want a greater reward. And savings account, IRAs, whatever. You want to dump money into it, you want interest to build, you want to get a higher return. So that's what I like. And I think people usually typically work that way. And
Fantastic.
got a minute to spare on this book. Alright. We'll be back with the third part. Bam!
Hey, Nate.
How you doing, Helen?
Fantastic.
Awesome!
Okay, Nate. All right, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, which assignment or activity did we do this semester that helped you most in building group communication skills, and why?
I had this plan to tell you something around the top of my head, but I can't quite remember it.
Oh, lost at sea.
Lost at Sea, thank you. Yes, I was like, I knew I had it. Yes, the Lost at Sea, I enjoyed that thoroughly. For me, I mean, it kind of, I don't know, I like the idea that helping people think outside the box a little bit and trying to teach them, like, you know, like, this is what you have to do to survive, this is what you need. And then we debated amongst and then kind of did a voting system, and the group behind us whipped our ass at it. But we were trying to do that, but it's just with people like Joel and Jackie that like to talk a lot, it was really kind of difficult. But I really did like that because then you kind of get to see everybody's personality, and it gave you an insight to how they think. Either they think logically and rationally, or they just think with, I don't know, just very simplistic viewpoint in life. And then you can just kind of see overall knowledge about what did they know, what did what, and what they could use that for. So that was pretty brilliant. What about you? Oh.
Well, I would say the most beneficial assignment that we did, in my opinion, was the movie presentations. And probably because I was just really, really awful in my first presentation. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for that. But our second presentation, I think that was the point during class that we were actually able to apply all of the knowledge that we had gained about group communication and actually like set it into action and kind of push ourselves to the limit in a sense, you know, because I don't think any of us were really trying at the beginning of the semester just because we didn't really know what even group communication was or how to really work in a team. And I think by the end of the semester we kind of had a better idea of how to effectively work with people.
But yeah, you guys what did one assignment or activity did we do?
That had no redemptive value. Why?
Messing up. Mine was, my opinion, is mine that my group did, was the animal thing. I don't understand how in the hell it was supposed to help us communicate, teach us. I mean, not unless, you know, we're supposed to mimic things and make grunt noises and all that, but overall I don't think it helped communication by any means, besides showing people frustration because they're like, what the hell are you, what are you trying to be, you know? And so, only person that had the benefit was Steven, and he got the raft or whatever because he was in my group. So, and he made the thing. So I think he had a good idea what was on there. What about you, Hope?
I agree, 110%. I don't really know what that whole thing was about. I don't know. I was a snake, and you know, thank God me and old man Steven switched because I had hippopotamus the first time. And we switched and I got snake, and we all know what a snake sounds like. I don't know what a hippopotamus does, and Steven didn't
They
know.
kill people. Such things.
It was just awful. It was awful.
Yes. So, you're welcome, Kenyon. Yeah, that was all my team.
Do we have any recommendations for you? I know this is going to sound evil as shit, but I don't know. In the morning, if it is another 9 o'clock class or anything like that, like, don't let the Joel types, Steven types, just go off in the morning. It's, I don't know, like when they got into their whole chit-chat talk and everything about sports, and they're shouting across the room to Hank, and he's throwing it right back. That was just a really rough morning, and it kind of puts a negative spin because, you know, I do pay the thousands of dollars, you know, whatever, attend class, you know, and it's just, it kind of just starts you off on the wrong foot sometimes. But when they were absent, it was great. So.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, it is a discussion class. You know, the idea is to discuss with your peers, but it's not really beneficial when you have like 4 guys talking about sports and nobody else is engaged in meaningful conversation. It's not really beneficial to anyone at all, and it's just kind of annoying for the rest of us. So, Nate makes a valid point, as much as I hate to say that. Also, one more thing, love the group activities. Loved them. Like on Fridays, it was just kind of something different to do. Like in a lot of classes, like we don't get to have fun, so that was really cool. But maybe don't leave it up to us to do the activities, because we should be organized enough and mature enough and driven enough to like bring good team building activities to class, but we weren't. And so, I mean, maybe some of us tried, I don't know, it should have been better than what it was. The effort wasn't there on our part, but I liked your idea for that. Activities, definitely.
Alright, so give us an A because we're awesome, but give me a higher grade than her.
Or we could just have the same grade, because I think I did more work than Nate.
No, I got my computer here. Alright, and my camera.
I read the book to him.
Oh, thank you. I can't read.
All right.
Thanks for the class.
Thank you.